I've known Brian Moran for over probably 15 years. And he and I connected on Twitter when he was working at the Wall Street Journal and I was doing digital consulting. And we just immediately became good friends. We used to say, "You're a good egg." You always know when you meet a good egg. And so Brian and I have maintained our friendship over the years. And he's like a brother to me. And he just gives the best advice. And he's very smart and very humble. And he is literally the most grateful person I know. And he wanted me to say that instead of introducing all of the things that he's done, by the way, he hosts podcasts and his business is Small Business Edge. And I've been on his podcast before and we talked about energy healing, but he just wanted to be introduced as somebody who starts every day extremely grateful. And everybody has their challenges in life. And when you have a grateful mindset, it just changes how you show up. So he shares some really beautiful stories and lessons and tips for you in this episode. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. If you do enjoy this episode, please make sure to leave a review and subscribe and pass it along to a friend who you think might benefit from hearing the messages in these episodes, because I think that this is how we make the world a better place. I also believe that when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. And so when we're spreading this, when we're listening to this inspiring information, and when we're sharing it with the people that we love, we are lifting everybody's energy and frequency up and helping to do that for the world. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you and I wish you a beautiful day. Take care. Welcome, Brian, to the show. And we're going to be talking about gratitude today. And I just think you are one of the most incredible people. We've known each other for a long time. And my dog is growling and saying he agrees. I just am so amazed by how you have navigated through so many things in life, and you've always kept such a wonderful perspective. And first off, I want to start with, when did gratitude become something that became sort of a practice in your life, or has it kind of evolved?
I think I've always been grateful. And that the gratitude is really our connection to the universe. So whatever you believe in, you can believe in God, you can believe in some form of spirituality, or that there's something that, that connects all of us to something beyond what we can see and touch and feel. And so, so I feel like I've always had some sense of, okay, I'm grateful for being born. I remember thinking that when I was a kid, and I remember, like, I would get things and I would be grateful for them. Now I'm one of 7 children. I'm the 5th of 7 children and 6 boys. So if I got an extra slice of pizza at dinner, I was certainly grateful for that. But gratitude, I think, has always been part of my DNA. But I realized, like, as I went through a lot of things in my life, the good and the bad, is that gratitude was always there with me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's so important, with everything going on in the world. I think a lot of people are kind of struggling to find things to be grateful for. And one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is, when do I feel most grateful? And so I want to ask you this. Do you find yourself seeking, or is it easier for you to kind of remember to be grateful when you're going through challenges, or when you're in those periods of time that are sort of a little more easy or flowing?
So I and I'm sure we'll talk about my son's mental break, but what I have learned is, the deeper the grief, the greater the gratitude. Right? Like, as you grieve, like something happens, somebody dies, somebody goes through something that is so painful, and you go through it with them, whether you're a loved one or a caregiver. When you come out on the other side, and you've experienced all of the trauma that you've gone through, and you realize that that other person is next to you, and if they're not next to you, you know, you'll grieve, right? They'll be crying, there'll be this sense of loss and depression and all of that, and you need to grieve properly. You can't short circuit the grief, right? You can't say, oh, I just want to get on with my life. Get all of that out, because that person that you're grieving over will have left you a special gift at the end of your grieving, and that is gratitude. I am grateful to have known this person and that they were part of my life. And I carry those memories. And that's when you realize that life here is temporary. We're all going to die. That's, hopefully that's not a spoiler alert.
No.
We're all going to die. And so knowing that, you just become grateful for everything, right? I'm grateful for a sunny day. I'm grateful for a rainy day. I'm grateful for every day. And so even when you're going through trauma or you're going through hard times, you have to find something positive for that day. So the people who say, like, I don't know what I should be happy about today. Really? You don't think that basement has a trap door? You want to understand like how lucky and fortunate you are to be alive today, to have your mental faculties, no matter how bad your struggles are, right? You're not grateful for something. Imagine life without it. Imagine that being taken away from you.
Right.
Like that's where you say, you know, there was a great line that says, what are you grateful for? And I said, that's one of the greatest questions ever. You know what one of the worst questions ever is? What were you grateful for?
Right.
You know, what is gone now that you didn't appreciate it when it was there, that you wish you had? Oh, I was so grateful for this time. I wish I enjoyed it more. Never, ever, ever let that question be asked in the past tense. It has to be in that present moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the practices in the 7 healing practices of the daily healing is grounding, which is being present in the moment. So gratitude and grounding often go hand in hand. And, you know, being in that present moment is so key. And, you know, talking about your son and his experiences, you know, you turned that experience with your son's mental break into such a beautiful lesson, and you shared it with people on your podcast, and just
Yeah.
you've talked about that, and I know that you have so much gratitude. He's such an amazing soul. And so I'd love to have you just talk about how you navigated that with such a light heart and in such a beautiful, grateful way.
So it was in November of 2014. My oldest son, I have 4 kids. He's the oldest, and he was a junior in college, and he was struggling. You know, he was struggling for a little while. It's not like one day he wakes up and he all of a sudden he has a mental break. It's kind of like it seeps out, seeps out, seeps out. It's like a slow pressure cooker, and then one day it just goes off. Now that's what happened with him, a mental break. Other people deal with obviously depression or bipolar or some other mental illness, and it's been with them and it's ongoing, right? So, but he had actually a psychotic break, and man, I tell you something. I kept a journal of when it happened and followed it through. I really thought like, okay, I'm not saying anything to anybody until he's back at school next semester. So this is November. So that first semester junior year was a wash. He was so close to taking his final exams, he couldn't go back. And we didn't even understand what was going on. Like, and that was the hard part. It was like trying to be grateful when you feel like you're in, you know, you just fell into the abyss and you're just spinning around and around and around trying to make sense of it. Well, as it turns out, it was a lot longer than just a couple of weeks. I mean, he really spent 10 years battling it. And the first 5 or 6 of those years that was the 9 circles of hell. And you and I would see you out at conferences, and we'd have these amazing discussions about, and you were very much, I want to say like a caregiver to me. I remember like Las Vegas, in fact,
Yeah.
like I remember being in that cafeteria with you,
Yes.
just kind of telling you everything that he was going through and that my family was going through. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were drinking a Diet Coke. I remember.
And we're sitting there and I'm trying to go to a conference,
Yeah.
like as if it's a Tuesday afternoon and everything's fine. And but I there was just something like, okay, like you cannot ever give up on him. And that was it. Like he was still alive. That was the big part. Okay, then he's alive for a reason. I must never give up on him no matter what. And boy, there were days where you're like, okay, I feel like giving up myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a loss. And that's what I mean is like as you go through that, I think it Helen Keller had a great line. It says, life is, I think it was Helen Keller, life is like a grindstone. You know, what is it? Life is like a grindstone. Whether it polishes you up or grinds you down depends on what you're made of.
Yeah.
And that's really, we find out what we're made of in those difficult moments. And so for my son, there were some moments in the first 6 years where it was like you found silver linings in there, like a family got closer and we all came together and we all found out we had the discipline to see this through. But he was hospitalized 13 times,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
mean, and it wasn't like an overnight visit, it was 6 days, 10 days. He did a rehabilitation center for 6 months.
But looking back at that time, I don't remember ever talking to you and having you be super down about it. You always kept a very positive, optimistic, hopeful, and grateful attitude, as you always do. And that is one of the things about you that why I wanted to have you on this particular episode talking about gratitude, because it's kind of like a little bit of a superhuman power that you have to be able to be in that space of gratitude amidst the uncertainty. And that's the thing about where we are kind of as humanity right now, is kind of shifting into whatever the next phase of where we're going is. And
Yeah.
what you always showed up for your son, even though it was so challenging and he couldn't understand what was going on. And you always kept this positive outlook. And that's the thing about gratitude that's amazing, is like, even when you're down in that low space, if you can find the things to be grateful for, that's what can lift you up, and everybody around you feels it. And so I don't know if you have some secret sauce, or if you have like any type of practice, or if it's just your way of being. Like, do you wake up in the morning and think of what you're grateful for? What's your secret?
So when I was 17, you asked me about how long I felt gratitude. When I was
Yeah.
17, I read a book in high school called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. But I read that book every decade of my life, right? So a lot of times. And in the book, he asks, basically, what is the meaning of your life? Why are you here? And this was a psychiatrist in World War II who was in a concentration camp. He lost his entire family, and he talked about like that his life needed to have meaning. It can't just be this is the end. There needs to be something to it. So you attach to it. We all have a choice every single day when we wake up. I choose to be happy. I choose to be unhappy. I choose to let this get to me. I choose to not let it get to me. And what Frankl said was and I'm going to paraphrase here, but the world can take away all of your human freedoms except one, your freedom in how you choose to respond. Therein lies the secret of gratitude. You can't take away my gratitude. You can't take away me being grateful for every day. You can take away all my physical properties and my material goods, but you can't take away my mind, right? You can't take away how I respond to it. And that really is a choice. And you just practice it every day.
Yeah. And how do you think, because you had small business edge and you also do business consulting and a myriad of other things, how do you think gratitude plays into business?
Oh, great question. You know what? As we hurdle faster and faster towards a digitized digital world and AI and automation, we need to stay connected. I actually wrote an article recently, probably over the summer, about this. Keeping that human connection in a world of AI. You know what I do when I talk to people, like in a meeting or at an event or something like that. I'm like, how are you doing? You
Yeah.
know, what I say, what do you like most about what you do at work? You know, and I never ask like, what do you like least, or I never get into like a bitch session with them. But it's always it's that finding gratitude, because the thing is, when people talk about something that they like, they smile.
Yeah. Lifts them up.
Your kids, you light up like a room, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I talk about my kids, the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it's we love our kids, we love our spouses. We love talking about their accomplishments because we're excited for them.
Yeah.
And so that's the key to success in business, is making sure you maintain that human connection so they feel it. They talk about the light in me. What is that? Namaste. The light in
Yeah.
me, the divine light in me recognizes the divine light in you.
Yes.
And when you can do that with somebody, when you can actually make a connection, it's not business anymore.
Right.
It's just two people enjoying each other's company and making something productive come out of it. Like, yeah, I would love to work with you because I think you understand what my goals are, and I think you can help me. So absolutely, let's do it together.
Yeah. And do you think so? Are you still doing the Songhas on Sundays?
Yes, I am. I
So do
love
you,
it.
yeah, please talk about that, because I think that that's such a beautiful, and you invited me to come, and it's just always, there's always
Yeah.
something that comes up for me because of the time. But how has that affected your experience of gratitude and just life in general? Because I know the few that I've been able to attend have been really powerful messages that I leave and I'm like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
soul food for the week.
It's incredible. And this is really, and my friend who runs it said, the universe doesn't give a shit about what you think you need, or want, but it will unfold exactly how it was meant to unfold. And then it's there for the taking, right? It's like laying out a spread at a table. Oh, I didn't want Mexican tonight. Well, Mexican's what you got. Next week it'll be Chinese and then Italian. But it's being grateful for whatever is presented to you. Accept everything. So the sanghas started 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And it started out with a couple of people just getting together on Zoom. And then when COVID hit, it grew and grew and grew. And it's regularly about over 100 people on Sangha from all walks of life, all over the country. And my friend Pat runs this. And he is, as Pat said, he got his head cracked open spiritually, about 10 years ago. And this is what came from it. And it is such an incredible gift that he has given to so many people, really, when they need it. We've had people who have, it's so incredible. A woman whose husband passed away Memorial Day weekend a couple years ago, on a Friday. On Sunday, she is on Sangha. And
Probably needed it. Yeah.
she said, I couldn't think of anywhere else I would rather be right now. There was
Mm.
another woman and her husband, and she was dying from cancer. And she was on there like her last words. This was like legacy, She was on a week before she passed away. And she was just talking about how, like, she was at peace. She was at peace. and that we should be at peace. And that was her message, and that was a gift that they gave. So the sanghas are basically kind of a study of the universe, of different religions, of different the awareness and high vibrational frequencies like love, peace, gratitude, happiness, joy, and low vibrational frequencies like anger, dishonesty, condescending people, anger, right? Hate, all of these, and how you can identify the two. And I liken it to the apartment building of life. Like everybody's in the basement and you get a lousy view of the world. It's hard to be grateful when you're in the basement, right?
Because with the trap door.
Yeah, exactly. You think this is bad, don't go over there.
Yeah.
But it's you got the street smell and the rats and the garbage and all that. But then all of a sudden you see these stairs and it says, go up. And as you go up, you start to see, wow, you know what? So that's what the street looks like. That's pretty neat. I wonder what the next floor looks like. And as you start to climb these stairs, the view gets better. But you get to the 5th floor and there's a sign, no hatred allowed past this floor. And you're like, all right. So I'm literally going to take hatred. I'm going to put it here. And then when you walk through, you see a sign that says pick up peace, or pick up joy.
Mm-hmm.
You pick it up and you bring it with you. And the more stairs you climb, the more it says you have to leave depression here. You have to leave anger. You have to leave worry. You have to leave stress. You can't get, you physically cannot get onto this floor if you have these qualities or traits or feelings. But you're picking up those high vibrational frequencies. You're replacing the anger with happiness and, depression with love. And all of a sudden you're on the 20th, 25th floor and you're like, oh my God, this is spectacular. This is the most amazing view I've ever seen. It's the Pacific Ocean. It's the mountains. It's your favorite scene that you always wanted to see. And you're like, I never want to leave this floor. I'm sure that the floors above look even better, but like this is truly amazing from where I came from. And then you know what happens? The elevator dings. And that's somebody from the basement who figured out like how to send the elevator all the way up to you on the 25th floor. And they start going at you, hey Britt, like this and that, and they're angry and they're mad and this and that, whether it's politics or religion or whatever. And that expression, misery loves company, they want to involve you
and bring you back down to that basement.
Exactly. You can't have that argument on the 25th floor. It's not allowed.
Right.
I'm sorry, Britt. It's like a library. Shh. We don't talk about that on this floor. There's no reason to talk about that on this floor. So you get in the elevator and you go all the way down and that door opens, you're like, damn it. Why did I get into this elevator?
Yeah. You got to climb those stairs again.
And that's exactly what you have to do. You left all of the high vibrational stuff upstairs and then you picked up all of the crap and you got to do it all again. Now, the beauty is once you get the hang of it, you can move pretty quickly back up.
Right.
Okay, this was a mistake. I should have stayed on that 25th floor. Lesson learned. When this person comes at me, and it could be a friend, it could be a sibling, I mean, it could be a coworker, it could be, that 7 days of rain that's coming your way. And this is what my friend Pat says. Just hug them, accept them, but don't get in the elevator.
Yeah.
Don't just and listen with an open heart and listen in the present moment to what they're saying. A lot of times these people, a couple of words can change their entire lives. Somebody who listens to them say, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but what's really the matter? Like, what are you not telling me? about why you're so unhappy.
Right.
If you could change anything, and that's what a grateful person does, Britt. And you do this very, very well. You listen. You listen though, and you give them your attention, right? And you say, I'm sorry you're in pain. Tell me what I can do to help you. Or in some cases, it's just, do you need a hug?
Yeah.
And just let all of that. What you do, they let the hug in, and the toxins go out with the tears. And you could
Yeah.
hug them for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I love all of this because the thing
Yeah.
is everybody is experiencing all of these emotions. And we do have this tendency, at least I do, when I find myself back in that basement at any point in time, to be like,
Yeah.
darn it, I lost. I shouldn't have done that, whatever. And so
Yeah.
the trick is to be able to figure out how to be grateful for the fact that you know how to get up to the 25th floor and you can do it again, right? But
Yeah.
we have this inner dialogue that's why this gratitude practice, I think, is so powerful, is because even in those moments when we find ourselves back in that basement, if we can find a way to be grateful for the lessons of it all and the challenges, and know that everybody's going through the same thing, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong with us, I think that's kind of, we all feel um, like that person that you're talking about that has kind of this lower vibration. They feel like something's wrong, and then they're around other people, and those people are at a higher vibration and they want to be where you are. And so if you can meet them where they're at and lift them up rather than let them pull you down, that's the trick.
Yes. I'll
Yeah.
show you the stairs. I'll
Yeah.
show you. We'll walk literally. And I said, this is where you need that anger that you have. You need to leave it here.
Yeah.
That depression you're feeling, you need to leave it here. Everything that you feel is a choice.
Yeah.
Like and I think that's what separates grateful people from, and it's not ungrateful, but it's that proactive recognition. It's like when you walk out in the morning, do you hear the birds? Do you hear the kids playing across the street at the school? Do you appreciate the sun beating down on your face? Even when it's hard to do, it's okay to be sad and grateful at the same time.
Yeah.
You can have those things. I found out somebody's very sick, and I'm sad, and oh, that's awful. But I am grateful that I am alive today to talk to the person's spouse to say, I'm here for you. I'm gonna turn chicken shit into chicken salad. Something bad, and I'm gonna try and find good at it. I'm gonna try and help other people.
Right. But that's why I call them practices, because nobody's perfect, right? So practice
Right.
not perfect, and there's some days where we're better than others. So for people who are in that kind of lower vibration state, do you have any tips for them if they're having a hard time, or if they have some type of resistance toward gratitude?
Oh, I love that you asked me that. First, identify those people who are in your circle who are keeping you down, right? Some of it is self-induced, but a lot of it is your surroundings. You look around and everybody's complaining, and everybody's yelling and screaming and depressed and all that. You're like, I'm better off being by myself and dealing with my own issues than misery loves company. Nobody's going to step up one day and say, let's all be grateful. And it doesn't work like that. You don't flip a switch, by the way. It starts small, and you got to build on it. That's why you got to walk the stairs. You got a lot of stairs to climb, and you got a lot of things that you got to drop off before you pick up other things. But I think it's just that first step that you take in moving towards a grateful life that really has the greatest impact, because you go, okay, now I get it. Now I get what Brian and Britt are talking about.
Yeah.
And it's that constant. So look at your surroundings. You know, if you're dealing with a lot of your own grief and a lot of your own issues, you probably need to spend time away from the people who are contributing to that. Also, get off social media.
Yeah.
right? Take a social media cleanse. You know what? I stopped reading. Went to journalism school. I was in publishing for many, many years. I don't read newspapers anymore. I don't watch TV news anymore. Am I? And you know what? I am so much better off for it.
Yes,
I really am. Like, I'm ignorant. I know what's going on in the world. I
right.
do have sources but I don't allow that. It's almost like a cancer to get in and infect me. And
Yeah.
so I get my news from sources that I trust and that aren't going to fill it with a bunch of crap that's going to try and infect my brain.
Yeah.
Right. The last thing I'll say on this is that we always talk about mind, body, spirit.
Mhm.
All right. I only really learned this a couple of years ago. It's not like an equilateral triangle. They aren't all the same, like in strength and whatever. The body is the body. The body's the vessel. I say, lift your left arm up. My left arm will go up. Look that way. I'll look that way. The body does whatever you tell it to do. The mind, I always focused on my mind, like change, like, okay, like as if my mind was the one in control. I really didn't understand the spirit. The mind is not my friend. We know that. The
Mhm.
mind, as a guy once said in an article I read, my mind wants to take me into a dark room and kill me. And this guy had a big, drug problem, alcohol problem, and he was still very successful. But your mind has all of the voices that you hear in your head, right? Your mind's telling you can't do this, you can't do that, you're too weak, you're too stupid, and it will pop up these awful visions. That's your mind doing that. And you're like, I thought you were my friend. It's your spirit. That is everything. There is the voice behind the voices in your head, and that is the light that we talk about. And that is stronger than anything known to man or mankind, right?
Your soul.
You have to connect with your soul, your spirit, your light, your voice, because that will always tell you the right decision to make, the right path to take. It knows what you don't know. And so what I do now is I tell my spirit voice, when my mind is acting up, I said, do me a favor, go kick the crap out of the mind. Okay? Beat the crap, put him into a corner and just pummel him.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped me a ton,
Yeah.
where you really exercise that one voice and you learn to trust it. Don't trust your mind, trust your spirit.
Yeah. I love that. And so, what's really interesting is with a lot of different practices, healing practices, like some people keep a gratitude journal, some people have post it notes and inspirational aspirations and affirmations and things about gratitude. And what I'm hearing you say, and just knowing you, is I think for you, this gratitude practice is just a way of being, it's just an awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's my default attitude on life. My favorite 3-word mantra is gratitude changes everything.
Mhm.
So if gratitude makes awful bearable. It makes bearable good. It makes good great, and it makes great like in a moment you'll remember for the rest of your life. It always makes things better, and so it's you learn, but it takes time to do that. So you learn those gratitude journals are great, and 3-word mantras, and hanging around people who practice gratitude and positive people, all good things. But something I learned from you is you need to have the energy and the enthusiasm to practice gratitude. It's easier when you're healthy and you're energetic and you have all of these energy sources around you that support you. And I learned that from you on my podcast, where the art that you hang on the wall, the colors that you choose, the people that you talk to, the words that you use, the food that you eat, staying inside versus going outside. I have a plant right next to me, and I keep it there just as a reminder that I'm not alone in the universe. Right?
Yeah.
We're all connected. That's a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
And so when you look at stuff like that and you make these little changes, they're going to put a smile on your face. And that smile is just, that's the gratitude. I'm so grateful that now, I changed the black in my room to white, or I have vibrant colors and I have vibrant people in my life. It's all connected.
It's all
And
connected.
at one point you just wake up, and you wake up happy and you're smiling because you're grateful for another day.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I think we should just wrap it up right there. That is so beautiful. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today about it. Gratitude.
Thank you so much. This is lovely and perfect. And I think the listeners are going to get so much value out of everything that you said. And I think this is wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us. And it's always so great to connect with you.
Yeah. And if any of your listeners want to talk about gratitude, I'm on social media. You can email me, whatever, listen, that's like getting my batteries recharged.
Yeah. Brian, you and I connected on Twitter over 10 years, 15 years ago, more than that.
Like 15. Yeah, at least 15.
Yeah. So you're great on Twitter. You have so much value to add. And I think you're on Instagram also. So, and LinkedIn as well. So yeah, so everybody can reach out to you there. But thank you so much. You are such a wealth of information and inspiration, and you have good energy. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything you do. I love talking to you, and I love having you as a friend.